All right, it's Friday. It is 11:20, and of course, every Friday, a load of brand new movies hit the cinema and streaming platforms. So, this is why every Friday I chat to our movie critic, Van Connor, because he is a movie critic, which means he gets to see everything way before we do. He comes on, talks about a couple of them, and lets us know what he thinks. Honestly, brutally honestly, most of the time. Van Connor, welcome back to the show. How are you, my friend? You all right?
Pleasure as always, my friend. I'm looking forward to talking about one of these movies with you. One, notably, not the other so much, but one I'm really looking forward to talking about with you.
Okay, so today we've got The Blackening and also The Dive. So let's start with The Dive then. Out in cinemas from today. What's this about?
So, Dive, new Vertigo film that's out. This is a remake of a Swedish film from, I think it was 2020, called Breaking Surface. It stars Louisa Krauss and Sophie Lowe. They are a pair of sisters who they've grown up like scuba diving with their late father. One of them has less fond memories of this than the other, like memories of being bullied, etc. But in the wake of their father's passing, they still go and do this once a year. They'll go scuba diving together, sort of bonding thing. One day they go off, they go on a dive, and there's a rock slide, and one of them is pinned 28 meters below the surface, with their air running out, whilst the other sister is left, ferry back and forth to the surface to try and find help. So this is a German film, but in the English language. So it presents as an English film, but it is for all intents and purposes German. Directed by Maximilian Erlenwein. So I've got a clip for you. This is the trapped sister starting to suffer from the effects of nitrogen narcosis and starting to hallucinate.
May, I'm here. I'm coming. May, are you okay?
I saw something.
What?
Something out there in the blue.
What did you see? There are so many ways how this could end, but it's all happening for a reason.
I belong here.
No, it's not real. You have nitrogen narcosis, okay?
I saw something.
Please snap out of it. Okay, it's not real.
Nitrogen narcosis, yeah, okay.
I'm gonna lift the rock with this pole. Ready? May, please snap out of it. I need your help.
Yes, the rock. We're gonna lift it.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
We're gonna lift it. Okay.
I mean, this sounds like it's got a bit of thriller in it. Is there a lot of edge of your seat, wondering what's going to happen next kind of thing going through this?
Well, it's a human survival thriller in the vein of something like Fall, or if you want to go back a bit further, maybe like Frozen or Buried, or there's one that I always forget the name of that I really enjoyed that was about two girls trapped under a swimming pool cover. But I need to look that up because that was a really good one. This is not as good as any of the ones I've just mentioned, sadly.
Oh, no.
Largely because so much of it just takes place in a black void. Like, spare a thought for cinematographer Frank Grebe, because as you would imagine, like an underwater survival thriller. It's going to look great, isn't it? It's going to have some great underwater story. Doesn't it really? I mean, it's missing the Starfield that Gravity had, basically, because so much of this takes place in a black void. You also, by virtue of that, don't get much of a sense of the geography of it. So it leads to sequences that kind of appear to come out of nowhere. There's an air pocket bit, for instance. Like, where's this come from? Having said that, the performances mostly work, but they do struggle with a certain element of hamminess. In moments like you could hear it in the clip there, for instance, there's a little bit of hokiness that you can't quite overcome. And I feel like that might be that it's kind of a 50-50 between ham-fisted writing and a performance that hasn't quite been dialed in right. But having said that, the concept's pretty good, and in terms of a survival thriller that genuinely keeps you guessing as to what could possibly go wrong next, this is a banger for that. Like, really, I love a survival thriller where it's just, oh no, really? This is very much one of those. This is an edge-of-your-seat one, but you are going to be kind of squirming at some of the cheese whilst on the edge of your seat.
What would you give this out of 5 then? What would you recommend?
I'd give it a 3 because I did enjoy the story. It kept me guessing, as I say.
Okay. Well, if you want to go and check it out, Dive is in cinemas from today. On to the next one, which I know is one that you loved when you saw this earlier in the week, The Blackening. So what's this? What's the premise around this?
So this is a group of friends. I think it's 7 friends, all kind of former college friends, African-American college students who 10 years later have a Juneteenth reunion where they get together at a cabin in the woods Because why? Get together in a cabin in the woods for a reunion on duty 10 years later, only to find that this cabin has a games room in which there is a board game called The Blackening, in which an old minstrel-like figure starts talking to them like through like a speaker inside the head, and simultaneously all the TVs in the cabin turn on as well.
Ooh.
And this masked sadistic figure starts playing like a series of Saw-style games with them. But the hook here is that this is actually a racial horror satire that basically sends up and subverts all of the tropes that usually befall black characters in typical horror fare. So just to illustrate that point for you, I've got a clip for you. And in this clip, 3 of the friends, this is where they've sort of split up at a point, 3 of the friends happen upon a white park ranger who they met earlier in the film and suspect of being a little bit racist. Have a listen.
Wait, how do we know we can trust him?
I'm one of the good ones.
Oh, that does not help. They all say that.
That actually makes you seem more suspicious.
You can trust me. Seriously, if I got an invite to the cookout, I'd be honored, but I wouldn't go because I know my presence in that all-black space would be a disturbance and undo it being an all-black space.
That's a pretty good answer.
I'm so, worse me. Look, we're gonna lower our hands.
Lower away.
Okay, great. Look, I've never been so happy to see a white savior. Somebody's trying to kill us. Please help us, please.
Whoa, slow down.
A mass killer is after us and 2 of our friends are dead.
What do you mean dead?
Dead. Meet your maker, dead.
Where are the rest of your friends?
Split up.
You split up, but you're all black.
Whoa, do not get comfortable.
I know you didn't.
Oh, move, bro.
Sorry.
I can imagine there's a good time to be had here with lots of funny little gags dropped in here and there.
This is an absolutely brilliant time. This is one of my top 10 movies of the year so
Wow.
far. Like, I thought this was an absolute hoot. The horror works, the humor works, and for a horror comedy, that's kind of, that's the game in town. But the satire is very much going for that Justin Simien Dear White People level, where they really are going for the cutting satire. I mean, there's a great gag in this about, can you name 4 black characters and friends? Which I genuinely couldn't. And the results will surprise you. Like, it was a genuinely shocking moment. I watched this with a horror-obsessed friend of mine who knows all of the tropes as much as I do. And first of all, we were laughing ourselves senseless, but the tropes in there are very knowing. They're very clever. There's a lot of like nods to things like Friday the 13th, Cabin in the Woods, Evil Dead, things like that. There's even that sort of from Friday the 13th had us absolutely howling all the way through. There is a gag involving a handgun in this that is honestly is probably one of the funniest moments in any movie this year, and it's just such a subtle thing that you may not even notice in the moment. This is absolutely brilliant. First of all, it's hands down the best movie that's ever had Tim Story's name put to it. It's got a great cast, relative unknowns. Cinqua Walls, I think, is arguably probably the best known to me because I remember him from Shark Night 3D like 10 years ago. Diedrich Baker as the Park Ranger, Ranger White that you could hear in the clip there. Literally his name, by the way, even though he is the token white character, he is also Ranger White because it's that kind of a script. He's arguably the most recognizable presence in the movie, but it's not about stars. It's about sharp writing, lampooning convention, and really, really prominent satire. This is a great movie, an absolutely brilliant time at the pictures. Go and see this weekend. Seriously, if you like horror movies, you're going to be in your absolute element. If you don't like horror, if you don't know the tropes of horror movies, go and see it anyway because it would work just as a straight comedy that lampoons conventions that you still would kind of know just from general pop culture. It's like absolute banger. Go and see The Blackening.
The Blackening out in cinemas from today. Thank you, Van Connor. Have a top weekend, and we will be back next week to talk more movies. Anything big we should be looking out for next week?
Well, we have got another horror movie next week that I'm really looking forward to talking about called Cobweb. That stars Anthony Starr from The Boys, Homelander from The Boys. Also, if we get to see it, The Equalizer 3, or The Threequalizer, as I'm calling it. But Denzel's back. He's going to Italy and he's fighting the mob. Take my money, sir.
Yeah, who doesn't love a bit of Denzel Washington? Absolutely with you on that. All right, well, until next week, Van, thank you very much. Have a top weekend, all right?
Till the next time, good sir.
Thank you, Van. Right, it's 11:29. It's BBC Radio Oxford. I'll check the roads for you after Jennifer Page and Crush.